Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the biggest four names in the stock market. We're talking Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and are they too big or are they not? Amy Klobuchar is going to take a hard look at this as a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and this has been a theme for her in the past, but taking this going forward, she's introducing legislation today, and we're going to talk about, are they too big to fail? Are they doing a negative service? Are they monopolistic? That sort of thing. So that's our topic for today, and we'll look at their charts and ultimately peel that back as should you have money in these names, and it's a resounding yes, even if they get broken up, right? Just like Bell did back in the 80s. But that's what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about, in terms of market cap, our question of the day is, what is market cap? You hear that thrown around a lot. So we're going to break into that once we get to the question portion of the show. If you're catching us on replay, thanks for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to join us live, it's $25 a month to be here in the room. What you don't see is a Q&A window and a chat window as well that has information on it that we're going to talk about during the day. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here's our briefing sheet for the day. Make sure you have your chat window and Q&A window set up correctly with all attendees selected, and make sure you know about the disclaimers. It's a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything you hear this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, our mission objectives today: grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically talking about the biggest four names out there, which are a little bit further down, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google. Or are these names to grow our money? Are they names to protect our money? I would say yes, all of the above. These are considered high risk, but they are so big now that they're starting to come under the microscope as far as, is that a good thing? And I would say, well, that gets down into a lot of different discussions, which we're going to hear quite a bit about in the next probably month or two out of Congress that looks into this. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more once we get to that portion of the show. Also, we're going to talk about market cap like we talked about earlier. Our flow for today: long, short, open, short, long. We're going to take a look at the markets around the world. Pretty green out there. We're going on day three of actually almost day four of being in the green after the nasty sell-off of 2% on Friday the week before. We're going to take a look at our headlines today. We have a jobs number out this morning. Long-term investments, the four. We'll look at those charts. We'll get into short-term execution. If you look in just saw somebody popped in here. Let me put this out there again. If you look in the chat, you'll see I have three longs. PayPal and eBay are the two that are probably the strongest coming out of earnings there. And on the short side, CLOV has been hit pretty hard. And then the CFO quit at AGLE. Unfortunately, it doesn't trade pre-market. So that's something we have to wait for the actual open to see. But anyhow, you have those if you want to do some research while I'm talking for that portion of the show. If you have any contingencies out there, or if you want academic resources, those are standard. All right, let's take a look over at TD Ameritrade Think Pipes. We'll start with the view of the market from this. Again, this is a 9-month look from the S&P 500. Really, you don't have March on the screen anymore. So it's really been straight up, some congestion going into the election for the uncertainty. After that, gosh, what's that? About a 10% move up since the election. I had a call with Goldman Sachs, my representative, yesterday, and their market outlook. Their market outlook for 2021 is up 14%. It's one of the more bullish outlooks out there. They think stimulus and vaccination and getting back to normality is going to outweigh the tax theme, which they don't think is going to show up until 2022. And if that's the case, I think they're right. We are looking at probably a 10 to 20% type year. I don't get into the prediction game because that's kind of a fool's game, and I don't have to. But I do. That means I'd stay very bullish, and of course, stay long in portfolios if it plays out like they are saying. But certainly, so far, we had the kind of the Reddit act or the Reddit scare last week with the flash mob investing sort of thing. We had the big sell-off Friday because you just didn't want to hold a lot of stocks through the weekend. And then it's been kind of 3 days up from there. And then continuing on into today, if you take a look, it's pretty flat for the past 2 days. So this was a big green number, and then it kind of flattened out, technically a red candlestick yesterday. But for most of the day, it was in the green, and then pretty sideways going into today. So we shall see. As far as setting up our charts, we're going to have one long. We're going to have PayPal set up long on a 1-minute chart. We'll have Clovis set up short. You can see the drop from 14 down to 12 or so. And then you can also, I pulled a 5-day chart up for AGLE because that's one it doesn't trade until the open, but you can certainly see it has plenty of room to go the downside at a nice 10-cent stop if you can get it short through Schwab. I'm sure you can because they're bigger, but AGLE might be tough to get on TD Ameritrade. All right, let's go over to the headlines of CNBC and take a look around the world. So everything in the green, we'll just refresh these real quick. Almost another 0.5% up in the NASDAQ. Apple's on fire this morning. The news is kind of dominated with the Apple iCar, which I think is going to be a thing and probably late. I would thought they would have had, it was Project Titan back in the day. They hired 100 engineers. All of that was in the news, and they kind of disappeared. And then they were going to buy Tesla. But as you know, Tim Cook would not take Elon Musk's phone call. Oops. I get it as far as not taking phone calls, but that's one they might have wished he had back. But then again, maybe it doesn't play out the way it did if that all happened. But that's our news cycle. Let's take a look at around the world. Pretty well mixed in Europe. Not a whole lot going on. That's our numbers from yesterday. Again, it was up big, kind of faded into the close. Not anything of note though. Asia down big. Got the Japan down over 1%. Bonds, the 10-year's been creeping up pretty steadily up to 1.15 or so. That doesn't seem like a big number, but compared to, if you remember back months ago, we're talking 0.6, 0.7, maybe it gets up to 1%. So nice, healthy move up there. No, that's not a precursor to inflation. It's got nothing to do with it. Oil holding at 50, mid 50s. That looks good. Gold and silver kind of still selling off. Again, silver was up around 30 during the height of the run on silver, coming back to normal. Just if you invest in precious metals, you hold them over long term. That's what you do. And here's crypto. They're breaking it out. How about this? I did not see this morning. So day one of CNBC breaking out to a new crypto tab. So Bitcoin gets to go to the far left, which is kind of the primary when you think, pole position, if you will. So Bitcoin up 2%, 37.7. Again, our entry point was around 31. If you're with me, got Ethereum up there and Ripple. Those are kind of the big three. I'm not sure I would put Litecoin as 4. Oh, hello. I would think that Dogecoin, however I think it's Dogecoin, is how that's pronounced. Elon Musk tweeted about it last night and it jumped 50%. And then don't really understand Bitcoin Cash. So I'll have to come back to that so I know what we're looking at in the morning. India might ban private cryptos like Bitcoin and develop a national digital coin. The Treasury Department in the US here talked about this. Facebook talked about it, and it just doesn't work because if it's a government coin, that's the issue, right? The issue is it rails against fiat currencies that are created by governments or really big corporations. Like Facebook had the Libra idea for a while. It just flopped. So anyhow, I think that's a non-starter for India. They should probably pay a little more attention to what's been going on around the world with crypto, and they would know that that's not a good starter. or that's not a good idea. Okay, Apple and Hyundai Kia pushing towards a deal. If you haven't looked at either the Hyundai or Kia, again, sometimes they get a bad name from being cheap. They give like 10-year warranties. I mean, these cars are like supercars, so I can imagine outside of the status of having one of these vehicles, which may carry a negative connotation, these are amazing cars that are built to last literally forever and have these huge warranties. So I think it's a pretty smart move. And if anything, Apple is lending its fantastic luxury type name to these cars. And the combination is a car, that everything works. You get in your car and you put in your Apple ID, you hit enter, and you have everything you've ever done for the past 15 to 20 years available to you in your car. That's pretty flipping amazing. Right. And if you have Apple CarPlay already, which we do in most of our vehicles, that's already a pretty cool tool to have everything import right from your phone into your car. Your car basically becomes an extension of your smartphone. So if you haven't been down that path, you need to highly consider it because it's pretty cool. Here's what we're talking about this morning. Klobuchar unveils sweeping revamp of antitrust enforcement. We'll get to that here in a second. Ford in play a lot as they kind of turn things around at Ford. I don't really have their stock outright, but I do have several of their bonds, which have gone up as Ford stabilizes. Fraser to retire at Merck. The stock will move on the announcement, not necessarily because people knew he was going to retire. It's going to be who comes in to replace him. Will move the stock either up or down. Exxon had a discussion with a client yesterday about whether they should hold their Exxon stock. I don't see a future. I just don't. I mean, yeah, it might make money and you're going to get a 7% dividend yield along the way. If that's what you want, fantastic. Go get your 7% dividend yield while the stock drops 7% plus a year. That's called losing money. But you think you're making money because you get this big fat dividend. Okay. I can't talk forever on that. If you don't get that, I'm just like, I'm out. It's math. Sorry. 23andMe going public through SPACs. If you know 23andMe they're all over the news as far as find out your heritage, and they're trying to tie it to the genetics of everything. To if you know your heritage, then that's going to help you with health and battling COVID. I'm not sure I necessarily buy that. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I'm not going to rush out and get a 23andMe test to find anything out. All right, Kohl's. Yep. Taco Bell. Yum Brands. Okay. Nothing else to talk about here. So let's move in on the big names we're going to talk about. So first of all, antitrust. We know monopolies are bad and we know trusts are bad. So let's look at Amazon let's look at Amazon first. Okay. So here you have Amazon. It's a huge company. It's only getting bigger. So the question that Klobuchar is going to challenge is it bad for companies to be that big? Well, yes, I see that, but it's not necessarily bad as long as they're doing great things for society and they're not taking advantage of the consumers. I think it is a fantastic deal that I pay whatever I pay. I think it's 99, maybe it's 109. I can't remember a year for Amazon Prime. Stuff shows at my door, a day or two after I buy it. I don't even care anymore. It shows up at the door. They take a picture of it. It's a proof of delivery. All of that is flipping genius to me. Amazon Prime has content. I don't think it's the best out there, but they also, they have stuff, and every now and then they have a decent show. They have web services, which a lot of people live on. I don't use them for my secure cloud. I use a financial based firm for that. But if I wasn't a finance firm, I would probably be on Amazon Web Services, right? Because it's just too easy. So where things would turn is if Amazon chose, where I fall on the issue is if they turn around and chose to use their power to make an obnoxious amount of money, i.e. they started charging for shipping again, or Amazon Prime started creeping up. I mean, every few years they can go up by $10. That's not a big deal. That's just standard inflation. But I mean, we're talking if they went from Amazon Prime going from 99 a year to, I don't know, 250 a year because they can, that's a different issue, right? They're not doing that at all across the board. It's just a pretty fair products and services at a price. So the stock obviously still have more room to run here, and they got hit yesterday off of earnings. But some of the others, Facebook, again, facing regulatory concerns, that's kind of holding the stock back. You can get into it here. Is Facebook too big? I don't know. they're getting involved in political stuff. I don't necessarily agree with their politics, but I do agree with how they've handled the situations. So, I don't think it can be completely, should not have snuff killings on Facebook, right? Hopping into politics, okay, that's tough, right? But I think they navigated it okay, if you will. Is Apple too big? No, I mean, it's just not, but the company is getting huge. And it's because they're doing other things other than just making phones. And when Apple starts making cars, holy crap, what if they hit a home run here and everybody wants the iCar? Yeah, Apple's going to get broken up at that point. I just have to agree. And the last one we'll take a look at Google. The Google search engine, obviously, and then YouTube is just a big search engine with videos on it, and that's where this is going later. So somebody searches this, they get a video to try to explain things or get their mind around it. Again, the stock has popped. Is Google a monopoly? I would say this is probably as close to monopoly as there is out there because of the search engine dominance that they have and the dominance of YouTube. And there's other players out there, but nobody can really touch what Google has done. So that's where I stand on that. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to Schwab, but real quick as we set up. This is we see the four big names we have here. We also see GameStop down at 92. If you're 92, yeah, if you're following that, it's going to 10, right? We all know that. So if you haven't gotten out yet and you're still getting hold the line on Reddit, then good for you. Hold the bag should be the hashtag there. And then Bitcoin over here up at 38 for the trust. And just want to show you one name over here. This is the AGLE, where the CFO quit. So it's up here. This is kind of the history of where it's been. So I do expect it to come down pretty significantly. All right, we'll set up for our day trade. We had a 3x trade, easy peasy yesterday in Tilray, which was nice, which we always like when we have a pretty decent trade. Almost knocked us out of it at the beginning because it was flopping around so much, but it finally turned around and worked there. I think it was 6 minutes total we were in that trade. So give me a second and we will set up for the open. All right, welcome to the On Time On Target play of the day. We have 30 seconds to the open. You're looking at 4 screens here on TD Ameritrade. And what we have on the left is a 1-minute chart for the S&P 500. You can see it's trending up. Again, we've been up kind of the past 3 days. You have PayPal, which beat earnings, so we're looking at that long for it to go higher. And then the far to right are shorts, CLOV. Can't read my own writing on what the note is there, but they're selling off hard, down around 8% pre-market. There's the opening bell, actually down 13% or so. And then AGLA is kind of an interesting story. Their CFO quit. So you can see the history there. We're going to go in on a 1-minute chart. I don't know if we're going to have the volume here to be able to trade this. So we're looking again, PayPal long, CLOV short. And then AGLE short as well. I like the AGLE. It's going to be a 10-cent stop. We're going to need a little more volume if we're going to hop in on that. Okay. CLOV, going over to another chart here because I can't remember the storyline. I have STD written down, but that doesn't make any sense. Short seller, that's what it is. A short seller moved into CLOV. So that's the short theme there on the Clovis Therapeutics, or Clover Health, if you will. Okay, you see PayPal screaming higher. So tough entry point there as far as that move. You got CLOV going higher, and then this one, I don't know, it can't be halted. It just doesn't have any volume. So really like that short, but if you don't have the volume, again, the volume so far at the open has been 4,000 shares. So if you're trying to short 4,000 shares of it, obviously that's not going to work. Okay, we're going to look CLOV. This is short covering. I like this setup. So plan for about a 25-cent stop. The top high of the day is 1250. So if it bounces up in this range and comes back down, we're looking at a 12. 1230 entry short with a 25-cent stop up to 55. So 1230, make a little note here. If that goes higher, this is all going to change. But this is a short. We're going to short it if it goes down to 1230. And I like this entry because that's simply short covering. You've seen what kind of short covering can do, right, to stocks like GameStop. So I like this here, but we're getting nice and patient. So 1230, and it's going to be a 25-cent stop. I'll draw the big line if it gets down here to where we're going to take it. Plenty of volume if you look down here at the bottom. Again, 300,000 shares this minute so far, a couple million on the day, so there's plenty of room to drop. So kind of have to be patient here, waiting for it. All right, PayPal looks like it's kind of peeking out. Market up on the day. AGLE not moving. We'll switch to another long here. eBay was another long from earnings. Zoom in on how it's doing. It kind of is following what PayPal did. All right, this is still okay. We're still in at 1230 if this thing falls. I'm tempted to move it in. Now we're going to have to adjust things because it went up to 1255. So now it's going to be 1235 with a 25-cent stop. So 1235 looks like it's going to hit here pretty quick. So get ready to go on your short. So 1235 with a 25-cent stop clears us above the high of the day, which is 1260. So all of that is pretty nice. Tempted to go up here to 1240. Let's go 1240 and then 1260 is the stop. So it's a 20-cent stop. But it's got to come down here and hit it to show that the strength is gone, and then it's going to fall from there. Again, just a little note to myself, making that while I'm off on this chart. Again, waiting for 1240 short and CLOV. XL on this right hand. So XL, I'd not heard of this company off on the right hand chart. This would be a long there's our hit. So 1240, you're in this short, you're going to do a 20-cent stop up to 1260. So there's our exit up here at 1260, and then it's just simply 20 cents on the way down. So you got 1220 as your first R point. That's what you're looking for 1R. You've got 12 for 2R, and then 1180 is going to be your exit point. So you can get the your two exit points typed in there. I'll draw it 1185 so we can see it. So again, if it flips up to 1260, we're out. You accept your 1R loss. But then if not, if this continues on down, which I think it will, you're going to see this stripe down here in just a second, then you're going to be out at 1180. So be nice and patient with that and wait for the thing to just drop like a rock, which is what I anticipate. All right, back to XL. So this is a electric vehicle. Let me type it on another screen, make sure I get my story right. So a refuse fleet. So thinking garbage trucks and things. 4 million shares traded hands, announces strategic partnership, development of an all EV, development of all electric and plug-in hybrid refuse truck. So not straight EV, but hybrid. So interesting kind of story, getting a lot of love this morning. Of course, I'm saying that as it falls off a rock over here. But as you look at our trade, so when you have something open up, you have this, it's toppy, it's trying to go higher, can't go higher. This is all short covering, for what, 4 minutes, basically, right? You had the open, which did that big bounce, and then you have it going higher, that short covering, it starts to peter out, and then boom, there you go. And we're waiting for 1180 for our pure exit point. So get that drawn in there exactly. Didn't quite make it. Keep the faith. Just hold on to this. It's going to be fine. Even if it backs up a little bit, there's going to be some people who shorted it here that all you're seeing right there is short covering. So you'll see, the two big stripes down, you're going to see green, and then you might have another green candlestick, and then you see it roll over again. So we'll keep an eye on that. I am going to switch off this screen. So make sure you have your stops in, and then we will come back to it. Somebody can alert me in the chat if it actually hits 1180 while I'm talking on another screen, which I think it will. Okay, so overall, the market is up across the board. You got PayPal up 6%. FireEye, didn't see that was in the news. That's probably earnings, so I'll take a look. Luckin Coffee, boom. Where is it? 4.5%. Let's pull Luckin because we can. And some of us have a little bit of this. So dip down to around this 11 range. You know, if you were the best investor ever, you pick some up here. That was not me. I picked it up, bought some more around in the 11 range. Don't remember exactly when, up to 13, but just don't forget 5 days ago it was up at 14. So pretty excited long-term thesis for Luckin. I've been calling $20 on the stock since it was 2, way back in the day. So let's take a look at that. There it was down to 8 as a 20-day. Here's down to $2. So it stayed around this $2 to $3 level literally forever. And we called, the $20 market has not hit 20, did touch 15, but you can see it's on its way. So not worried at all about Luckin. Okay, DraftKings, goodness, DraftKings has been on fire lately. So it had this huge run up back in September, sold off pretty hard. That was almost a 50% drop. I didn't even care when it did that drop because you knew it was going back higher, and there it is, closing in on new highs. Again, the thesis here is, again, that sports gambling is going to get legalized in states like Michigan and Texas. It's being considered now. And if that happens, yeah, if you can sit there and gamble from your phone legally all the time, then people will do it, and we'll figure out a way to tax it, and maybe we don't have to raise taxes as much. That's the thesis. All right, MJ has been on fire lately. Again, we had Tilray as the individual trade yesterday. That worked. Palantir on fire today. I like it. Let's see what's in the red. Let's check our trade real quick. Okay. It's so you have these building back up. So you see how this is called, I forget what you call it, a little waterfall or something, where you have it and it goes higher, peters out, and then it stripes down. So that's what you would expect to see. You have this big green candlestick here, a smaller green candlestick, then in a smaller one, then a flat one, and then it turns around and rolls back down. So maybe it happens here, maybe not. We'll check back on it in a second. Okay. See what's in the red today. Qualcomm selling off hard. I don't have a reason for that. That's one of the best pure 5G plays out there. Okay, it's earnings. That's all it says is earnings, but it doesn't say what the in reaction to earnings. Well, that didn't give us much. So anyhow, they released. Obviously, it wasn't as awesome as they thought it was going to be. Clickstream, Revive Therapeutics, silver continuing to sell off. Icon was a name that was in play from Wall Street Bets. Gold, the builders, Sony had released earnings. Next Gen, this is probably selling off because of Qualcomm, which is its top holding. But Next Gen, if you want an all-around 5G play, Next Gen is the way to go. Sony, so you do have some tech names here in the red, but nothing I would call notable except for Qualcomm. That is kind of surprising. So Fubo TV is, I don't believe in this country personally, but I don't believe in this company personally, but it certainly is in play and has been on fire. We'll put it in here. It even caught the attention of the Wall Street Bets gang. So if you go back to, what is this, a few months ago, it was trading in the $10 range, and it pops to 60, back to 25, back up to 55. So kind of crazy there. All right, let's take a look at the trade. So here's what I was talking about. You have the big green, bigger, smaller green, smaller. This is a cascading, and then you'll see it have a couple of sideways things in here and then fall off again. So I'm not an aggressive trader, but the person that I did learn from, she would be adding all day here. She would wait to make sure it doesn't bust her out. So, because that could happen. It could run up and bust out, and then you're done. But if it does not, this is the picture perfect, and this is what she'll probably post here in about an hour, of the huge ad that she made. If this tops out, she would probably add around 1230 to the downside and short the crap out of it, double her position. So basically risking now 2x to make 6x, or whatever math somebody uses. But it has to hold right here. So again, a secondary ad would be here, and then watch it stripe down like a champ past that. And again, your exit points all the way down. So you would add right there. So adding meaning take it short again for the same amount in anticipation of this sort of move down, all the way down to 1180, which you'd keep the same exit point with the ad. So once you're done, you're kind of done. We're going to leave that up since I just talked about all of that. We'll just leave that up and I will talk about the question of the day. All right, you guys are pretty quiet this morning in the chat, so nothing really to add there. Let me get this pulled up for market cap. So when you hear market cap thrown around, it stands for market capitalization, which is simply, why is it not pulling up? It's the share price times the number of shares, right? So market cap Investopedia. Again, I want another screen. Bear with me. There we go. So market cap or capitalization refers to the total dollar market value of a company's outstanding shares of stock. So if there are 1 million shares outstanding and it's selling currently at $10 a share, that's a $10 million market cap. I have a private placement deal on my plate right now, which I'm going to talk to a few folks about today, where they're valuing their company. It's a startup. They're valuing it at 17 million, and they're pricing the shares at 10 million shares at $1.7. So, and they tell you how much the founders are going to keep. They tell you how many shares you can buy. They tell you what you're going to get as an investor. And when you buy into that, you're making it's just like Shark Tank 101, right? Is you're buying a portion of that company, and you are basically, they're saying that they're worth 17 million, that their idea is going to be worth 17 million. So when you buy in, it's either do I agree with that or not. If you don't agree, then don't buy in. But if you agree that, yeah, this is probably $100 million idea, which I would say that it is clearly in my mind, then you would want to buy in. So if you buy in at a valuation, a market cap of 17 million, and they eventually get bought out by Amazon for 100 million, or say 170 million, because that's easier for the numbers, then yeah, you've made 10 times your money. So if you put 25K in, you'd get 250,000 back out, technically 9 times your money in that case. But that's how market cap is used. Now, where it can be stupid is GameStop. So when GameStop's in a situation where the price runs up, the market cap of GameStop got huge, right? It touched 483, or just say 400, because that's an easier number. So you have a $400 share price times all these outstanding shares. All of a sudden, this company is magically worth 10 times more than it was before. So that's when you step away from the trading aspect of it to well, no, it's clearly not worth that as a company. So you can get these artificial numbers. Tesla is a huge company by market cap because the stock has run up. But is it? No, it still makes a fraction of the cars that are out there, right? If it was in market cap, Tesla alone was in a market cap that was greater than all the other car makers combined. Well, if that actually parlayed to reality, then you would see more Teslas on the road than any other vehicle. And while they're kind of, they're pretty mainstream now, you see them all over the place. It's certainly not over half, right? It's not even close. You happen to see a Tesla or two a day if you're out and about, or maybe 5 to 10, but certainly not half of the cars you see on the road, right? So that's where market cap can kind of be misleading. I don't necessarily like it as a real metric. Now, I will say with Klobuchar and her team, they are looking at market cap, because that's their biggest argument, is that the market cap on these companies is too big. So two things have to change, right? Either the number of shares outstanding, they need to buy it back like Apple does all day, every day. They're actually borrowing money on the cheap to be able to buy their stock back. It's kind of brilliant. Some people consider that manipulative. It's also brilliant. Or the stock price has to come down, and obviously Congress can't do anything about the stock price, right? Even if they hop in and start manipulating some things to stop the flash mob investing, it's still not really going to affect the market price. The market determines the market price, not anybody else out there. So, all right, that's all I've got for market cap. So now you know what it is. Now you know that I don't really think it's all that useful, but that's my opinion on it. All right, let's look at this Clovis technology, and then I will leave you. Obviously, we're pretty much right at our entry point, within a few pennies. We are covered above the high of the day. Remember, the actual stop here is 1260, not what I have drawn. So when you see this, entered at 1240, here it is, and we're good unless this breaks the high of the day, and we're 16 minutes into the trading day. So again, wait for this to go down. I wouldn't add here, but obviously if it breaks the high of the day, we're going to be out. So let's do it while we're still here. It's like, don't tease. If this holds, that would be like one of those didn't. So there it hit 1260. So it's going to go higher there because I know for sure that there's a ton of traders out there that had 1260 as that stop. So, and for those that held on to 1265, they're probably going to get rewarded now. But so our trade worked against us after getting so close. So here's where people mess, and I know I'm going long today, but here's where you'll get messed up in the brain is you have a perfect system of losing 1R or making 3R. And then you'll have a day like this where you're like, man, I was up 2.7 R and I went back and I lost my R. You cannot care about that because what you will do tomorrow is you will go, okay, next time I get to over 2, I'm just taking the profit. Well, if you take a 2R profit and you're risking 1R, you have now messed up your math and you've screwed it all up. So you cannot leave the math behind. If you start taking what I call the short target in the military, i.e. you have something right in front of you, so you just pop that instead of going after your actual target, well, then you will not meet your long-term objectives because you'll be making 2 on a good day and losing 1 on a bad day. That messes up your math, so don't do it. So there will be days like this where you think everything is completely guaranteed and it's not, and now this is busting through all kinds of stops here. But so anyhow, a little bit of trading 101 there. With that, thanks for checking us out this morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.